Why I was left disappointed with Arsenal's transfer window this season. Now, we finished last season with 89 points, but in that 89 points, we have 5 draws and 5 losses. Now, all these 5 draws weren't high scoring games. Even our losses was just by an odd goal, which means that our defense wasn't really much of a problem. Also, if you see the stats, our defense stands up against the best of the world. The pairing of Gabriel and Saliba, I personally feel, is the best in the world. It can match up to any central defenders that there are. So you think that we don't need much tinkering in it. But really, actually, was the point of concern was the strike force, especially considering in a match which is won by an odd goal or a low-scoring draw, you need a player who can conjure up some magic and score a goal out of nothing. Fortunately for us, the stars had aligned in a way that there were two such players available at really affordable prices in this transfer window: Victor Osimhen and Ivan Toney. With such a good deal staring at the face, you would think Arsenal would be brave enough to catch the bull by the horns and make this deal happen. But what do we actually do? Instead of focusing on this problem area, we go out and buy another left back, of which we already have 5 of them, mind you. And I know Riccardo Calafiori is a great signing, he's a great player. But we already had Jurgen Timber coming back after a season long injury for the exact same position. So he would have been like a new signing. Also, we let go of great squad players like Fabio Vieira, Emil Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Cedric Soares, Mohamed Elneny, etc., who you wouldn't say contributed greatly last year, but still these were players that you could put in at least in the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, and would take up some time and would at least allow your front 11 to rest. And if we had to sell so many players, you'd think that we'd make at least one statement signing. But even that wasn't the case. And thus we are left with a squad which looks a little thin, especially compared with Manchester City, who have Rico Lewis, Oscar Bob, Savinho, all like who are players who you'd say are almost like new signings. And therefore, I feel, except for the signing of Mikel Merino, we haven't done anything to bridge the gap with Manchester City, and thus it might be a step too far to win the Premier League this season. Though, fingers crossed, and I'd be praying daily that Arteta can work his magic, and the genius that he is able to overcome this challenge. But with the transfer dealings that we have had, it has shaken my confidence a little bit. And this fact hurts me deeply, and I just cannot digest that why couldn't we be more aggressive and go all out in the transfer market? Especially if I consider the psychological impact that a signing of an Osimhen or a Tony would have had on the opponents. For example, imagine sitting in the Manchester City camp and you hear the news that Osimhen has signed for Arsenal. I mean, don't you think it would have shaken their confidence a little bit? I mean, it definitely would have rattled them, and that is what you wanted at the start of a season. Now it's up to our manager to ensure that he works to the best of his ability and the squad delivers, and there are not many injuries, and we can really go out and challenge for the titles. And thus, with the backdrop that I have given you, I can only rate this transfer window as a 6 out of 10 and nothing better. I'm sorry.